Hi, I'm Ken Clark, CEO of 1-800-TRANSLATE and author of Translation Guy, the biggest blog in the translation business. Today on Translation Guy, digging dead languages. I think it's a safe bet to say that you're probably into language if you're here in the first place. But we all have different tastes. I think it's only adult to admit that some linguistic preferences are not your plain vanilla ABCs. I speak of the character fetish known as necrologophilia, the love of dead languages, which is the linguistic love that dare not speak its name, at least in the modern languages department. But it is a kind of company that archaeologists and others with the same interests seek out. So for those of you whose nostrils flare at the scent of dusty parchment, or for whom the scratch of styli on paper eye is, well, an itch that must be scratched, welcome. Today we will explore the darkest corners of the lost language closet as we bring that which was once hidden to the light of public scrutiny. Now, take the Dead Sea Scrolls. That's dead. Discovered by a Bedouin herdsman, Muhammad Edib, in 1947 in what was once Jordan and is now the West Bank. These 972 manuscripts written on parchment and papyrus are in Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek, and were written between 150 BC and 70 AD, possibly by the Essenes, a Jewish religious order, or by others fleeing the wrath of Rome during the Great Jewish Revolt of 66 to 70 AD. These ancient texts are of great religious and historical significance, as they include the oldest known surviving copies of much biblical material and help to document an underdocumented period of great upheaval in the region. Look it up on Wikipedia for details. Now, as any publisher can tell you, hiding your scrolls in jars buried in desert caves is not the best way to boost circulation. So digging them out should have brought them to light. But curiously, once they were cave-free, they still remained as hidden as ever. A few of the documents were published immediately, but many fragments were kept under wraps by scholars for decades after their discovery. This small group, apparently suffering from writer's block, weren't publishing much and weren't letting others have a look-see. The secrecy surrounding the Dead Sea Scrolls became one of the biggest scholarly scandals of the 20th century. Some say the shocking details of these texts threatened the very foundations of Christian faith. A conspiracy, perhaps? I'd like nothing better than to be able to report a conspiracy. I love conspiracies. I mean, there's something so darn optimistic about conspiracy, since it requires so much faith in human nature. To imagine that a group of people would be smart enough and foresighted enough and trustworthy enough to keep a secret so well for so long. Equally optimistic that there could possibly be anything in those dusty old parchments that would cause even one believer to fall from grace. I mean, it's called belief for a reason, right? Evidence is in the eye of the beholder. Anyway, after 50 years of dispute, verily the scales have fallen from the eyes of scholars and the scrolls have been revealed for all to see. And now, thanks to Google, ultra high-res photos of 5 of these scrolls may now be found online in a joint project between Google and the Israel Museum of Jerusalem. Eyal Miller of Google blogs, now everyone around the world can view, read, and interact with 5 digitized Dead Sea Scrolls. The high-resolution photographs taken by Arden Bar Hama are up to 1200 megapixels, almost 200 times more than the average consumer camera. So viewers can see even the most minute details in the parchment. For example, zoom in on a temple scroll to get a feel for the animal skin it's written on them, only 1/10 of a millimeter thick. Google has rolled out these scrolls so that anyone can study them in order to achieve scholarly satisfaction in the privacy of their own home. Hot, right? I hope I didn't mislead any readers with my necrologophilia disclosure, although I guess anyone who's come this far might feel a tad cheated since Hebrew, Greek, and Aramaic aren't exactly dead languages. It's just that I'm worried about our traffic ever since those same Google bastards pulled 1-800-TRANSLATE off the search engines for reasons unknown. Sorry, it's been bothering me. Well, if you've tuned in this long, It's clear we have certain shared interests, nothing to be ashamed of. So in the next Translation Guy post on necrologophilia, I promise it will be even more titillating for those of that ilk. I'm talking X-ray glasses and see-through parchment, hot figures too. Do the math. See you next time. In the meantime, follow me on Twitter at Translation Guy, or check out my blog in print at translationguy.net at 1-800-translate.com. Thanks for listening in.